Welcome to the
Oh,
pod.
thank you.
Everybody, this is Srilauna.
Hi, everybody.
Are we kidding? Oh my gosh, I love that. Srilauna, let's start off with how we know each other. How did this come to be? Where did we meet?
Good old book club. You are clearly related to Sarah, who I absolutely love. I don't know if you know this about Sarah, but she was actually the first person I knew that had another child with special needs. And so I've always until her, I was like so alone. And then just knowing that she had Briggs just helped me so much. Just knowing like, okay, there's someone out there that I at least know because we went to school together. Yeah. And then obviously you're Sarah's sister-in-law. And so, yeah, that's how we met.
I'm so grateful to Sarah
Yeah,
for bringing us
right.
together.
Same. Oh, and I love that book club. We don't talk a lot about books, but it's a good time.
Here's what I love about this book club, because I've been in book clubs before, obviously, where we pick a book, everybody reads it, whatever. And sometimes I struggle with those because I'm a binge reader. So like I'm never really quite matched up with the timeline, or in this last time I didn't read the book because I was too overwhelmed. But this book club's so fun because
It is.
it's just like we just talk about books. But no, it's not book exclusive. It's TV,
Right.
movies, life.
Yeah. Yes, like we're all connected by books, but yeah, we just get to hang out and talk about the things that we love. I love it. It's my first book club, and so I feel a part of something.
It's so great. So to anybody who wants to be part of a book club, but you're like, oh, I'm not really a reader. Honestly, book club's just an excuse to get together with the girls.
Exactly.
Truly.
Yes.
And
1,000%.
We do like activities. Like one time I hosted and I did like favorite book tropes and just like made a PowerPoint about things book related.
I've loved all of them. Even the last one when no one showed up, which is fine.
Yeah, there was
Lots
3 of
going
us.
on.
And it was great.
Yeah, it was so good. It was fun.
Okay, so we met through book club. And now we are here today to discuss the most important things in life, which we will start off with movies.
Yes.
Movies, TV, and books.
Yes.
What have you been reading? What have you been watching?
Okay, so I just finished today, actually, The Last Mrs. Parrish. That was actually really good. Almost had 5 stars, almost.
Questions about that one. I've heard of this one. Let me look it up. What is it about and what kept it from being a 5-star?
A 5-star book has to make me like emotional and I have to want to read it again. This one, I obviously already know what happened. And it's like a suspense, semi-suspense, but in a way a mystery. And I just like the little twists, right? So what it's about, kind of like this love triangle. This husband ends up sleeping with his secretary, who's best friends with his wife. And so it's like this mystery of, does the wife know or does she not? And yeah, I just don't want to give it away if people want to read it.
Oh, that's
but
enough of a tease.
It was interesting. Yeah, it was really interesting. And they have a second one, so I'll read the second one as well. But yeah, like I said, 5-star, it has to make me like emotional, like The Nightingale, right? Like I could read that over and over and over again. I'll cry every time. And it has to get me to where I'm like, I can't go to bed. I have to read it. I have to read another chapter. So it just didn't do that for me every time. And then the book I just started today is called Hooked. It's a series, but it's I think they describe it as a reimagined Peter Pan. I'm all about spin-offs and remakes. I love that. But it's like it's like a very dark Peter Pan, but it's not like in Neverland. So it's like Hook, his name is James, And then you have Peter Williams, who's the dad of Wendy. So they've switched a lot of the characters and their roles to bring them into the modern world. Like, have you ever seen Once Upon a Time, the
Yes.
TV series?
Hmm.
Similar to that, how they just completely reconfigured
Oh,
them.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty dark so far and like gory.
Are you
I
enjoying
mean,
it?
yes, actually I hate blood,
Yeah.
but I got desensitized with Game of Thrones and Outlander.
Outlander will desensitize you from everything.
Yeah, semi desensitized because I'm always like watching with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
If you could do that, whatever.
Yeah, like with your
Yeah,
fingers
yeah,
up, like in the, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Hands covering your
yes,
face.
1,000%.
Sorry,
Yeah,
quick
go
question,
ahead.
because you mentioned Outlander. I have not seen the last season yet. Have you seen
Mm.
it?
Are you serious? Yeah, yeah.
Was it
We
good?
just finished it. I actually think they're making a comeback because I feel like the last couple seasons weren't as like intriguing. There was something lackluster about them. But yeah, I really think the next season's going to be really, really good from how they left off this one. I just love Outlander. I'm excited to read the books. I'm waiting until I watch all of them.
Mhm.
And then once the last season comes out, I'll start the books.
I went to go watch it like 2 nights ago, and then I don't have a freaking VPN on my laptop, and so it won't let me because it's like registering that my computer's in Australia, and it's like not
Oh,
available here. So
oh,
I've got to figure
really?
that out, yeah.
No.
Because there's different shows available in different countries, but if you have a VPN, then you can like set your location in America and then it will like trick your
Okay.
computer into thinking like it's in the States. But I literally went last night because I've been so busy preparing for Australia that I didn't have time to watch
Yeah.
Outlander. And I was like, finally, it's time. I log on to my Amazon Prime and
No.
unavailable in your country. I was like,
Oh, no.
oh
Dang
my
it.
gosh, I know.
Yeah, that's one that me and my husband watched together. I love it.
For anybody that doesn't know Outlander, I mean, I've talked about it before, but just a brief recap. You have this woman named Claire. It starts off right after World War II. Claire and her husband Frank, they're from England and they're going to Scotland on vacation because, they've been separated because of the war. They're like there to reconnect, kind of get to know each other again because they've been separated for so long because he was a soldier and she was a nurse in the war. Anyways, they go to this, what is it, Craig Nadoon?
Yeah.
It's like the rock formations, that are magical and
Like,
mysterious.
yeah, yeah.
This is where it gets like fantastical, but this is the only, I would say, magical element of the entire show. Everything else is like historically accurate. It's set as very, very, very believable. It just has like this one element of fantasticalness, which I really love. So Claire touches these stones and then travels back in time 200 years in that exact spot. And from like the moment that she travels back in time, she is like immediately captured and like almost raped. And like there's a lot that happens. So like season one is truly, I love it, they get better and better with like season one, season two,
Hmm.
season three. They're so
Yes.
good, but really season one is like her trying to get back to these stones so she can get back to her husband Frank in, modern day, which
Hmm.
not modern, our modern, but like her modern day. And then, things progress from there and it's so good. Like the story is so rich. The costumes are incredible. The sets, the fact that they're like in the Highlands of Scotland. It is just one of the best series I've ever seen in my life.
It is. I've
So
already
good.
rewatched the first seasons because it's so good.
I think I've seen season 1 through 4, or at least season 3, like no less than 6 times because I've like no, for real, because I've watched them with so many
Oh, I
people.
don't blame you.
Oh, they're so good. But I watch
If
it on
I could.
VidAngel because I can't
Oh,
do the gore.
okay. I watch it with my husband and I tell him to tell me when it's over.
Yeah,
And so you know when the gory parts are happening.
it's very
So
obvious.
It is. And so that's where I just say, okay, tell me when it's over. If there's too much noise, like then I'll plug my ears too and I'm just whatever.
For anybody that like wonders like what kind of gore, she's a doctor. So there's a lot of like medical stuff that happens. And then there, in addition to that, I mean, it's like a long time ago. So there is a
It's
lot of like
war.
war, sexual assault. The end of season 1 is really difficult to watch. I like skip pretty much all of it because it's sexual assault against a man. So it's like a man against another man. And it's like really heart-wrenching. But then it
Yeah.
lightens up a bit until season 5. And then season 5 we were like doing pretty good. Season 3,
Yeah.
season 4, I was like, all right, we've like lightened up. Then season 5 comes along and my heart was ripped out of my chest. I was heartbroken.
I'm not
Phenomenal.
gonna lie, all the seasons just kind of blur together because
Yeah.
whenever I watch it, I just watch it back to back to back. I never know when it changes a season, but yeah, I think I know what parts you're talking about. And it's
Oh
it's
my
just so good.
gosh.
So that's actually the only TV show I've watched this year. And the only movie I've watched for the last 2 months has been Wicked. No shame.
Have you seen it a couple times?
Yeah, we own it. We pre-ordered it. And so we got it right on December 31st when it came out. I watched it. I made my sister come over and watch it with me. And then I don't watch a lot of TV. And
Mhm.
so it ends up just being like background noise. But I will sing to my boys. Banks likes it. I
Yeah.
don't know if the other two like it or not, but I don't care. I sing to Parker. I'm getting the dances down. Oh, it's magic. Oh, I love
So
it.
good. I want to watch it again. I just saw it one time in the theaters, but I've been so
Shame.
busy. Really though, I need to watch it. I need to find people here that have because there's so many people here that haven't seen it yet. So I was like,
Really?
yeah.
Do you know if the Broadway show goes on out there?
Oh, it has to. Maybe
You
not to
think,
Perth
right?
though. Maybe not where I'm at. Maybe in like Sydney,
Okay.
which is pretty far because they have Broadway
Okay.
in Sydney.
Gotcha. That would make sense then.
Yeah, but the people that I'm with, they're from all over the world. My two like besties, like we're a little crew now. They're both from the UK.
Okay. How
One of them
fun.
is from Scotland.
Stop.
Yeah, and I literally
I'm
was
so
like,
jealous.
I know. I was like, so have you ever seen Outlander? And
Really?
no, she hasn't. I know.
Oh
But
my.
it's okay. We're gonna rectify that. Don't you worry.
Yes. I mean, yes, you need to. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm gonna watch Outlander with my Scottish friend.
Yes. I want to know how she likes it now.
I know, and we'll see her input, the historics of it
Yeah.
all. Well,
Well, I actually looked up a lot of the history of it, and then I ended up reading, I don't know actors' names. So
mhm.
Dougal and Jamie
Yes.
did that book together. It's called Clan Lands,
Yeah.
Whiskey, Warfare, and Scottish Adventure like no other.
Let me look it up.
They went back and like explored Scotland and all the sets and where the war was and all of that. And then I did some Googling, and it's like very historically accurate, even down to the Bonnie prints and all of it.
Yes. I honestly learned so much about history from
Same.
Outlander.
I don't study history, I read historical fiction and hope it's accurate. I
Love that.
actually think that book and the TV show kind of go hand in hand. Don't
Okay.
quote me on that, though.
Um,
I could be lying right now.
you can lie as much as you want on this. We never fact check.
Okay, good, good, good.
That cover, he looks so good on that cover.
Oh, don't get me started. Just kidding.
Okay, here's the other thing, ladies. If you're going to enter into Outlander, the reason the ladies love Outlander so much, we say the story's rich, like all these things. No, you are in Outlander for Jamie and Jamie alone. Jamie
Yeah,
is the main character man who is this Scottish Highlander, just sophisticated beyond his years, very forward
yeah.
thinker, hot, just the hottest guy. I think just immediately I wouldn't be like, oh, he's very attractive, but his character, him wearing a kilt, it'll change your life.
I want Parker to wear a kilt now. And if we're not going to fact check, we're going to say that's also why Parker watches it is for Jamie. And I know it's true, actually. Oh.
Yes. I think
You
everyone,
know he doesn't watch it for Claire.
we're all watching for Jamie.
Yes. Just he is a man's man. He is oh, he's good. He's
Yeah.
good. I will say though, don't try to watch him in any other movie and get the same effect. I
He's
dare
not that
say he's
good.
not that good. It kind of ruins it, and I'm like, oh, I refuse actually to watch any movie he's in because of it. He's always Jamie to me, and always will be.
Mhm. Oh, I
Yeah.
completely agree. The only movie that I watched that he was like okay in was Love Again. It was pretty good. But yeah, no, there is something about when he is playing Jamie, he's a freaking all-star actor. Like,
Oh
you're
yes,
absolutely convinced that he is this kind, caring, brooding, incredible. Like every fantasy, if a woman were to write a man, which in this case she did,
it's
like it
yeah.
would be Jamie. Every
Oh my gosh,
quality
yes.
is like
Oh
just a woman's fantasy and men's
yeah.
too, I'm sure.
And I'm gonna say it because I have a filter. I've never been like attracted to a redhead, and he is a redhead. And wow, I feel like I've been missing out, right?
He's converted you.
I don't know if I like the actor, but I love Jamie,
Agreed.
and that's all right.
Okay, sorry, before I rudely interrupted you on the Outlander thing,
Oh,
you were talking about other stuff.
I think all I was saying is I just don't watch a lot of TV. So
Oh, that's right.
literally, it's been Wicked and Outlander. I really have nothing else to tell you about, unless you want to hear about dinosaurs.
Oh, what
Like
are we watching
that's
about dinosaurs?
anything dinosaur. Bad Dinosaurs, that's on Netflix. We tried Land Before Time today. The actual dinosaur movie on Disney.
Have you done The
We
Good
do.
Dinosaur?
Oh, yes, we've done that. He Banks is weird because he actually likes more of the realistic looking one.
Yeah.
There is one on Netflix that's like Pokemon dinosaurs. He actually really likes that one, but I'm so over dinosaurs.
Not your thing.
Well, I can only growl so much. Like how girls play with Barbies and they're kissing and dress. That's him with dinosaurs, except we're fighting the whole time. He has these two that their mouths move, and so they're like chomping each other. And yeah, it's been going on too long. I'm dinosaur overstimulated, if that's a thing.
I am absolutely sure moms everywhere can relate to that. Like just being
Yeah.
some random hyperfixation, being like, "Yeah, I've had enough.
Yep.
I can't do it one
Yeah.
more day."
I have everything right now. He has dinosaur sheets. He reads his dinosaur books. We go to the library and he gets like they're not cute little books. It's like someone in grade school to middle school would read these. It's like real facts about dinosaurs. He has no idea, but he acts like he does, and it's cute.
How old is he
So
again?
3.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, well, what have I been watching? I watched last night Heretic. Have you seen that?
I want to. I want to so bad, actually.
It was very fascinating, to be honest. So I watched it because my friend here, my Scottish friend Lucy, shout out to
Mm.
her. She's amazing. It got brought up that I'm religious because it gets brought up pretty easily because that's my whole
Yeah.
life. She had asked about Heretic. Well, and it's so cute too because when people find out like I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they like don't want to be offensive. And so she had said something and I was like, "Oh yeah, like Heretic." She's like, "Oh, I wanted to ask if you've seen it, but I didn't know if that'd be offensive or not." I was like, "Oh no, I am not an easily offended person. Everyone should just know that now. Like you can ask me anything."
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely love to be in on the inside jokes. Like I haven't seen the Book of Mormon play and I've really wanted to.
I
Um,
want to too.
yeah,
So bad.
I really
There's
do.
just because I told you we left the church.
Right,
And
right.
so it's just different. Like if we go see it, it's kind of portrayed as like mockery. Well, I'm like, but what happens? I wanted to see it before. You know? So I'm not
Exactly.
mocking. It's just it's a play.
Absolutely.
But
Yes. Well, and I feel like that would be like a fun perspective too of like
yeah,
having left and then like me still in it. Like I think we can all have a good time. Okay, just like this collective thing that we like all know about, you know?
yes, yes. And we might take different things away from it, but that's okay. Everyone does anyways. Like it
Yes.
just for me, it doesn't matter. I'm with you. I'm not an easily offended person.
So last night we watched Heretic because she
Okay.
had already seen it and there was a couple other people in there. But we watched it kind of for me to like make commentary on what was accurate, what wasn't accurate, because I served a mission and it's about two sister missionaries and they go to this house and they say like, "Hey, is your wife home? Like we can't come in unless there's a woman home," which is true. That's a real rule. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, my wife's baking a pie." And so the sisters go in and they start like trying to teach him, but his wife's nowhere to be seen. It's classified as a horror movie, but it was definitely more thriller. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat, honestly, like the whole movie. I was scared, but that doesn't really mean much because I'm scared if the music is just even a little bit like haunting. I'm like, is something gonna happen? Like I get
Yes.
freaked out. But anyways, so these sisters go in there and then it's revealed that like he doesn't have a wife. He had a candle that was like a blueberry pie instead of his wife baking a pie. And anyways, it's all revealed in the trailer, like this whole bit. And so they have to
Hmm.
decide like how to get out and they're kind of like trapped in this house and it has Hugh Grant as the bad guy. But the ending was lackluster for me. I just as a movie, taking out my own personal like knowledge of being a missionary, just as a film, it was very suspenseful. It really had me on that. There were a couple like plot holes that I was like, and the ending was just lackluster for me. But if
Mm,
we're taking it of was I as a member offended by like the portrayal? Absolutely not. No, I actually thought that they did a really good job
oh,
in
good.
a lot of aspects. I mean, of course, I think this is across the board, no matter what culture you're representing, like there's always going to be things that people are going to like take liberties with where you're like that's not quite right, but okay. Like there was
Hmm.
one thing that I like still I woke up this morning and I can't get over it. They had this part about birth control saying that like no sister missionaries are on birth control and that birth there was literally a statement where it was like, have you ever heard of a sister missionary being on birth control? And one of the missionaries was like, no, she would have been made to feel ashamed about that. That was the most inaccurate part of the entire movie, I would say, because I was like
You know
in
what? I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to that. But what I've also noticed, because I have heard quite a bit about it. I mean, I'm in Utah, right? Like
Mhm.
it gets talked about. But I have heard people that have related to a lot of aspects of it. So I kind of wonder if it just depends on what experience you had, because I know I would be super ashamed to be on birth control. Like,
Really?
oh, 1,000%. Are you kidding me? 1,000%. I could never, ever, ever.
Really?
Like, I'm not kidding you. Because everyone is taught different things with the church, different levels, right?
Yeah,
And my parents were very, very devout and taught very by the book, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? Like you take what you want
sure.
from the religion but yeah, birth control was one of those things that you shouldn't need. Because
Really?
first off, you shouldn't be having sex. Second, and this isn't just like from my parents, just
Sure.
even in my ward, things that were taught. Yeah. So first off, you shouldn't need it because you shouldn't be having sex. Second off, when you are married, you should be reproducing. It was even hard for me to get birth control after having Will. So
Oh
I,
my
I'm
gosh.
telling you, maybe inaccurate for you because
Yeah.
maybe that wasn't your experience, but I do think there's a lot of people that probably could relate to that. My biggest issue is I don't like when movies purposely portray something as bad and try to
Mhm.
sell it as this is everyone's experience. And in the same light, I don't like when people portray it as all good, but then there's other, you know what I mean? Like,
For
so
sure.
that's my little argument back.
No, I'm so glad you
Sorry.
said that. I no, I love this because yeah, when I saw that scene, I was like, "What?" That was not my experience at all. I knew so many girls growing up that were on birth control, like even
Yeah.
just for acne. Like, not
Yeah.
for sex. I mean,
Hmm.
that's a different conversation, like, of, like,
Yes.
abstancing. But, like, no, if we're just talking birth control, not one time in my whole life was I ever taught, like, that we couldn't have birth control, that it was somehow, like, taboo or weird, or that, like, yeah, no. So that I, like, did not connect with at all when she was about,
Hmm.
like, yeah, no, we're not allowed to have birth control. I was like, what? But you're right. I guess it really does depend on people's
Yeah.
experience. So
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad I have that
I think,
perspective.
yeah. Well, and I think experience and also their personality and what they take away from that experience. Because people could have had the same experience as I did, like gone through the same thing, same lesson, but didn't take away what I did. You know what I mean? So
Right.
there's just so much. It's more
Nuance.
complex than I think people want to portray it as.
I would agree with
So,
that. But yeah, that was like so fascinating to me. I was
huh,
like, I knew
I
like
really
half
want to
my
see it.
friends. I was like, half my friends were on birth control. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Anyways, Heretic, I would say I enjoyed it. I mean, again, it had me on the edge of my seat, which it was supposed to. There
Hmm.
were interesting aspects to it. The acting I thought was really well done. There were some creepy parts. Overall, my rating, because I have two rating systems, my personal,
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. But for public, I would probably go 7 out of 10. Maybe 6.5. 6.5. Like, I think more people would enjoy this than because I'm so nitpicky about my movies.
Yeah.
So I
But
watched that, and then if I watched anything else, I got like halfway through Fly Me to the Moon,
mm,
which has Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. I only got halfway through because I was watching it on my flight, and then I just got tired and decided to go to sleep instead. But to be honest, I don't think I'm gonna watch the ending. Like, I didn't really care enough.
yeah,
It
that's
was just,
also been on our list, and there's just something about it that doesn't really fascinate me.
huh.
And I'm not a Channing Tatum fan. I just don't have
Mm,
a huge desire to watch it. But
yeah, I really only watched it because I was on a flight, and
yeah,
it didn't grab me. It didn't make me
well,
think it was amazing. So
okay, good to
this,
know. I did read, okay, the first book of Part of Your World.
yes,
Okay,
Abigail Jimenez.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did just finish that one today as well. I listen to one audiobook and then I read, like physically read one.
Yeah.
Like all of mine have been 2 or 3 stars.
Yeah. I didn't really
Eh,
like that one.
yeah. Yeah. It's just, I could have predicted all of it. Very predictable, so basic. I'm hopeful for a good one this year.
Abby
Yeah.
Jimenez, I'm a big fan, like just overarching fan of hers. I like her writing style. I like her narration. Like, I like her characters. But
Hmm.
her latest trilogy, well, they're separate books, but they're connected. The Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer, both Part of Your World and Yours Truly were like so mediocre to me, especially Part of Your World, I probably gave like 2.5 stars. Yours
Hmm.
Truly, I think I did 3 stars, but it just wasn't it. Just for the Summer, 5 stars. So it's tough because sometimes it's just a hit and miss game.
Yeah.
But I really didn't like Part of Your World. It has the age
Yeah.
gap thing, but
Hmm.
there were like some elements that I was like, okay, this is like a fun element to it, and but
Yeah.
it didn't go anywhere for me.
Yeah, I just don't have a lot to say about it because it just wasn't, there was nothing that stood out that was good or bad.
I hate the trope where it's like he's mean to everyone but you. No,
Yeah, yeah.
no.
I'm like, if you're not nice to the waiter, bye-bye. Parker is literally the sweetest human to walk this earth. And that was one of the things I was so attracted to. He's just so kind to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, he's gold. And so I don't have a lot of tolerance for that. I don't think it makes you manly. I don't, whatever.
I completely agree. And I hate the
Hmm.
trope of like her changing him. No, that's not your responsibility,
Yeah,
for one.
nope,
And
nope.
yeah, he should be man enough to figure out his own crap
Hmm.
and be a decent human being. Like,
Yep.
we're not asking too much here. Okay, well, speaking of the man that you married, I feel like this is a great
Oh,
segue
yes.
into the fact that, you love him, he's a great guy, and you decided to have children with him. And now we're going to talk about your kids,
Right.
specifically Will. Did you love that
Oh,
segue?
I loved it. That was good, actually.
Thank you.
Good job. You're natural.
Start by telling us a little bit about Will and the condition that he was born with.
I've never told anyone the full story. It's not something that you could just like casually sit there and tell someone all about it because it's so, so complex. And the people that were there with us through the journey, they already know most of it, right? And it's kind of just, and so I'll try to not make it long winded, but yeah, we'll just dive in. So good old little Will. He's a sweetheart. I'm going to try not to cry because, like I said, I've never been able to sit here and like tell people. And so that's why I was actually so excited to do this because I think I need it personally for like healing purposes.
You
Okay,
are more than
here we
welcome
go.
to cry. Crying is absolutely welcome on the pod.
Well, I'm not usually a crier, but Will is just so special to me. And so he's the one thing I will cry about all the time. Good tears, sad tears, whatever.
Yeah.
Tears. Okay, Parker and I, we'd been married for like 18 months, decided to get pregnant. At our 20-week ultrasound, we went and found the gender. 2 days later, I was at work. I was working at Wells Fargo, and I got a call, weirdly enough, on my work phone. And just ironically, I was the one that picked up. I was literally just headed out to lunch as well. I had grabbed my purse and everything. And I was like, hey, I'll be the one to grab the phone. Anyways, it was my doctor. And he was like, hey. And he just said, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you before the weekend and let you know we had 2 radiologists look at your ultrasound. It looks like your baby's missing a part of the brain called the corpus callosum. He said, I have never seen this. I don't know what to tell you, but because of the condition, we are going to transfer you to maternal fetal. We were living in Moab at the time. They don't even have a pediatrician. So the doctor I was seeing, he's a family doctor. I had to go to maternal fetal in Grand Junction, which is like 2 hours away. And so I just remember I was like, oh, that's brutal. Like it's midday. I had to go to lunch and I just was like crying. And then I called Parker. We were supposed to be going to lunch anyways. And so I called him and I was like, hey, I'm on my way to pick you up. I need to tell you something really important. I was crying and he's like, okay, well, is it okay if Zach comes with? Zach is his cousin who worked with him, but he didn't like
Right. He
know.
didn't
I was
register.
hiding it. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then Zach gets in, poor Zach's in the back seat. And I'm just like, I just started breaking down when I saw Parker. I just remember Parker's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, I'm sorry, Zach, I have to tell him. I just told him, I was like, the doctor called and there's something wrong with our baby's brain. And he's like, what? We talked a little bit about it, cried a little bit. Zach's still there. I went back to work. I had the most incredible coworkers. And one in particular, her name's Melissa. She was amazing. She just took me into one of the offices and was like, hey, go home. She helped me like do a little research on Google, which could be good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like there was mixed stuff like, oh, they could die. And then others are like, they could be born without it. And sometimes you never know. So it was just like a variety. And for those who don't know, the corpus callosum is the part of the brain that connects the 2 hemispheres. So it's literally how the 2 hemispheres of your brain communicate. Pretty important part. So I ended up going home and I just remember we cried a lot, a lot, a lot. At the time, I think I had just turned 21 or maybe had just turned 22. And at the time, I thought I was so ready to be a parent. I'm so old, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'm like, I was a baby. I can't believe I went through all that crap. Anyways, the next week we had driven to Grand Junction, went to maternal fetal. I don't know all the terminology. I just don't care enough to remember all the terminology.
Yeah.
But they have different levels of ultrasound. And so they did one that's more clear, more in depth. You could just tell with these ultrasound techs, like they try to be really good and they can't tell you anything that they're seeing. And we just remember her like having a little gasp, like she went on the head and she was just like, and we were like, oh, freak, don't do that. Like, so we're already nervous. She had this little slip up reaction and then they pulled us into, I'm not going to throw any doctors under the bus, but the doctor there, Dr. G, we'll call her. She pulled us into a room with like a couple other doctors, nurses, whatever they were, and just told us, hey, it's a lot worse than we initially thought. He is missing his corpus callosum. He has a lot of fluid on the brain that's eating away the brain tissue. She labeled it as, I think, anencephaly, which is like a condition, it's fatal. Babies, they don't survive it. She said he's missing his right eye and possibly his left. From what I'm seeing, it's not a viable pregnancy. He's going to pass away. I do not see him making it full term. Right now is when you guys need to decide if you want to terminate the pregnancy or carry it. I mean, we're obviously just crying because I think like with pregnancy, as soon as you find out the gender, it's just like a different type of, at least for me, this is how it was, a different type of connection. Before all of this, I had just stopped with the morning sickness. So I was starting to enjoy, like, I had just started feeling him kick and all of these things. And it's my first pregnancy, right? So I didn't know what to expect. And so all of it is just new. Anyways, I remember she just told us, because we're like, no, we don't want to terminate. And she's like, no, you guys just need to think about it. So she brought us into another room and we talked. And I was like, I don't want to terminate. I was like, even if he doesn't make it, I can't do that. Like I said, I said, I feel him kicking. Like, that's not me kicking. How can I give up on him? And so we obviously didn't terminate the pregnancy, which we weren't a huge fan of her, just because when we did that, when we told her we weren't going to, it was very much like, okay, well, not a really good choice because he's not going to live. And she just kept reiterating, like, I just don't see how he's going to live. Do you guys want to put yourself through that to deliver a baby that's not going to make it? So she ended up transferring us to the children's hospital. I believe it was 2 weeks later. We went and spent the weekend in Denver. We did a fetal MRI and a fetal echo, which the echo, they check the heart. And then we sat in a legit conference room. We were on one side of this conference table, big conference table, okay? We sat on one side, and then there was the whole table lined with doctors. I think there were 7 doctors seeing on the table, and then there was like 3 other like nurses or assistants standing behind. There was a social worker, and then to our right there's this big screen. They pulled up the MRI, and it was so, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of creepy because you see his head, but then you just see one eyeball just staring at you. And we're like, oh, okay, well, he's missing an eye. They just said, okay, well, we can confirm everything Dr. G is telling you. And then they went through the fetal echo, said his heart's good, it's a plus. And then they had a fetal specialist tell us he just didn't see, again, it being a viable life because he said he's missing a lot of his brain. His brain is very, very bad. They had said he had his brain stem. That's what makes you breathe. But they just didn't see how his brain could function beyond that. So they said that they could do like genetic testing, see why it happened. Because if we didn't do genetic testing while he was in the womb, then the odds of us being able to do genetic testing with him being alive is like so slim. They again didn't think he was going to live. We literally, I'm not exaggerating, met with over 30 doctors, specialists, nurses, social workers, all of the above. Over 30. The one neurologist in Denver was the only doctor that told us that she didn't see why he couldn't make it. She said he has his brainstem, so he could breathe. She said, I just don't see him having a very fulfilling life. I don't know the exact wording she used, but essentially he was going to be immobile, breathing tube, all of the above. But she was the only one that gave us that little sliver of hope. Well, he could possibly breathe enough to be born. But that was enough for us to be like, okay, like maybe something, right? And so I remember we were driving back from Denver and we still hadn't come up with a name because it was like, we don't want to name a baby that's not going to be born. But my favorite name had always been Will. And then at one point, we were just like, whatever, screw it. Like, where there's a will, there's a way. And we both like looked at each other and we're like, Will, that's his name. And his middle name is William because Parker, it's tradition in his family that the oldest boy gets the middle name of William. And so either way, that tradition was going to end with Will, because if he didn't make it, it dies with him. If he did make it, from what the doctors were saying, it wasn't like he was going to have a family. So the odds of him having an oldest boy, so we just felt like, let's just do it. So it's Will William. Anyways, after Denver, Moab Hospital, they wouldn't really see me. They would see me like just for little checkups, make sure I was doing good, but they wouldn't touch the baby. So we would go over to Grand Junction for our appointments. They were pretty often. I want to say like every 2 to 3 weeks. I could be super wrong on that though. So the plan from Denver was that we were going to move to Denver at, I believe, 35 weeks or 37. And that way we were there so he could be born. Dr. G just keeps telling us he's not going to make it. She just kept telling us, like, he's not going to make it. His brain's getting worse. I mean, we could see it. You could see that his brain was progressively just getting worse. I remember one day I was just so fed up with it. And I ended up calling the Children's Hospital in Denver and I just said, hey, like, Dr. G keeps telling us he's not going to make it. We don't want to live in Denver, deliver a dead baby, and then have to drive 8 hours back home. Denver's 8 hours from both of our families. I said, can we just deliver in Moab if he's not going to make it? That way we have family. And he said, well, you heard the neurologist. And he's like, on the slim chance he does make it, even for a couple days, now you're having to transport a very fragile baby from Moab to Denver. He's like, so I still think it's best you come to Denver, stick with the plan. And I was just like, no, that's freaking ridiculous. I'm not doing that. I'm not driving 8 hours with an empty car seat. That's so brutal. And so I ended up calling Primary Children's. Oh, back up. Another reason we didn't like Dr. G was she told us, she said, Kay, well, the 2 children's hospitals that are the closest is Primary Children's and Denver Hospital. Primary Children's doesn't accept your insurance, so you're going to have to go to Denver. So that's why we went there. Come to find out, and we found this out through the fetal specialist, she did her residency at the Denver Hospital. And so we felt like she just kind of put us there because she was comfortable with it. She knew the doctors. The fetal specialist had actually worked closely by her, so they knew each other. I don't know if they get a cut or anything. I'm not worried about that. Either way, she had told us Primary Children's didn't offer our insurance. I just wanted to protect me and Parker and our little hearts. And so I called Primary Children's up right after I got off the phone with that doctor. And I just said, hey, I need to talk to someone. This is our situation. Can you please see if you guys accept our insurance or what's like the cash cost of it? I talked to the absolute sweetest social worker there, and she was like, she's like, no, Primary Children's actually accepts all insurances. And yeah, and I'm like, no way, like, thank you. Thank you. And so she helped me get an appointment for May 16th. We went up there, met with another whole room of doctors. We were in the outpatient area. The offices are not very big. And we had at least 10 doctors, social workers, rainbow kids, all crammed in this office. They were able to get the imaging from the Denver Hospital transferred over there. So they didn't need new imaging, but they did need us to do another ultrasound. So by this point, I'd had so many ultrasounds, and I remember the tech was doing it. And they have these little lines at the bottom that show, oh, their legs are this big, their arms are this big. Essentially, it just shows a marker of in what percentile the baby is. And I remember when she measured the head, his head was literally off the chart. Like the marker went off. And I turned to Parker and I was like, I am not pushing that out. And I remember the ultrasound tech like doing a little chuckle, and I'm like, Parker, like, that's huge. And by this time I'm 32 weeks. Anyways, so then we meet with the doctors, the neurologist, who is still Will's neurologist today. She is amazing. She told us, yeah, I agree. I don't see him making it. I think the absolute most is going to be 4 months. I think if when he's born, if he isn't a stillborn, I think he's going to have a seizure, and the seizure is going to be big enough that it just takes his life. She said, I see with his brain during those 4 months, it's going to be very, very hard. Endless seizures, big seizures. She said, I just don't see essentially any good coming from this. I was like, I want to deliver naturally. I was born at home. I'm like, I'm going to be a bad A, deliver naturally. And so I was like, that's important to me. And they're like, hey, yeah, so you're going to move up here to Salt Lake at like 37 weeks and we'll let him come naturally. And then I was like, hey, I was like, real quick, am I going to be able to push his head out? Because his head is huge. And they're like, oh, yeah, heads are so pliable. Like, you'll have no problem. It's not going to be a big deal. I was like, sweet. Parker and I were so excited because we're like, okay, we have a plan. We finally felt like, okay, we can relax. Whatever comes of this, we are now 4 hours from his family and then an hour and a half from mine. I'm like, we have a little more support. We're familiar, right? Felt great. We always went to Taco Bell after these appointments. It was our recovery food. So we went to the Taco Bell and I was sitting there. We were talking, and then I got a call from Dr. P, which is the doctor that was going to deliver Will. And he just said, hey, so we looked over the ultrasound. He said, when you said his head was big, I didn't know you meant it was that big. He's like, you actually need to come up here and deliver in 2 weeks. And I was like, what? We can't do that. And he's like, you need to. He's like, you cannot let that head keep expanding. He's like, you can't deliver that at 40 weeks. You need to be up here. So at 32 weeks, his head was already measuring 40 weeks. And with just the trajectory of where his head was from previous ultrasounds, his head would have been massive if we waited until 40 weeks. So we were just like, okay, like 2 weeks, great. We ended up going back home to Moab. And then I think it was like that same night he called back and they were like, hey, we're looking at the imaging again. We think you need to come in sooner. The 16th was a Wednesday. And I think they said like next Friday. And then the next day, I think I got a call back and they're like, you actually need to come in sooner. Like, there's not a way around it. I'm like, what? And then the last call we got, they just said, you need to come in this weekend. I just remember being like, I'm not ready. Like, I wasn't ready to potentially say goodbye, you know? And I remember calling up my best friend. And I just remember crying, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. They want me to come deliver like tomorrow, and I couldn't face it, right? I remember calling up one of my coworkers. Her first baby was a stillborn. She had passed when she was going through the birth canal. And I called her and I was like, I just asked her, like, what does it look like giving birth to a stillborn? And she just told me her experience and said that the doctors were so kind and they let her family hold her sweet baby, and that the doctors would allow us to hold him and allow us to say goodbye. Anyways, so we had texted all of our family and just said, hey, we would really love for all of you guys to meet him or to see him at least before they took away his body. They had to give me a shot in my butt, 2 of them. So the night of the 18th, I had to go get a shot in Moab. It's a steroid shot for the lungs. And then the 19th, I was set to be induced 8 p.m. They induced me. I just remember all night doctors would come in, and it was like a new doctor every time because they're switching shifts. I'm 8 weeks early, so they had to do Pitocin. And I did try to do it natural. A worst decision of my life. I don't know why someone didn't just slap me and was like, don't try it, because waiting for the epidural, when you get Pitocin and are 8 weeks early, I had never had a contraction at this point. And 8 weeks of contractions all right there, hell no. Like, it was awful. It was awful. All these doctors would come in and they're like, "Hey, I'm so and so, and I deal with this." And they would say, "Okay, he's not going to come out breathing, so don't be scared. We're going to cut a little hole in his throat and put a tube." They also prepared us just for the possibility, because he's not going to come out crying, we're going to have to rub him. We're just going to be taking him away. I think I was in labor for like 21 hours or 23. I didn't have anyone in the room other than Parker and then my best friend. She volunteered to take pictures, and I'm a very private person with all of that. So I was like so hesitant for that.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy she was there, because she just stood behind me and was able to capture all of this. I just remember I wasn't progressing at all. And they had warned me that because I was so early and his head was so big, and because he's just not your average Joe, that there was a high possibility for a C-section. So they had come in and they're like, you're not progressing at all. So they had actually started prepping me for a C-section. And while they're prepping me for a C-section, I was like, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom. Like, there is so much pressure. I don't know what's going on. So my best friend, her name's Carly, and Carly's like, that might mean like the baby's coming. So the doctor came in, she checked me and she's like, "Oh, you're ready." And I just remember that moment. And Parker and I just looked at each other, and I just remember telling him, I was like, "I'm not ready to meet him." Like, I, I didn't want to say goodbye. And that's what we were prepped for 12 weeks. We had our family there and everything to say goodbye. I started pushing. I think I only had to push like 3 or 4 times. He came out and he was crying. It was really, really beautiful. They just put him on my chest literally for like 5 seconds to cut the cord. And then Parker was able to carry him to the window where they took him. That was all I got of him at the time. We were members. And so it was really, really important for us to bless him. So we had gotten Bishop permission to bless him in the hospital. Our dads came back and our moms, and Parker gave him like the sweetest blessing. My mom recorded it, so I was able to write it down, and it's so cute. And it's just something I hold so dear. He was just beautiful. Even now, I look back and I'm like, he was so sick. Like, he had so many tubes and he was so red, and his head was massive because he's like this little 32-week baby body with this 40-week head. And then he just took off from there, essentially. We lived at the Ronald McDonald's house in Salt Lake while he was in the NICU, and our work was amazing. I worked for Wells Fargo. The whole NICU stay was paid. And then once he was released from the NICU, I got 4 months paid maternity. Like, it was a huge blessing for us. And then Parker, the people he worked for in Moab, they are just incredible. And they allowed him to take that whole time off. So we were able to experience this all together. We were probably at primaries for like 2 days. And again, we had to meet with a bunch of doctors in a room. We met with his neurologist, neonatologist, I believe, the social worker. We sat in this room and they said, "Okay, this is Will's latest MRI since being born." And his neurologist would circle a part of his brain and be like, "This is the part that helps people see. He doesn't have that." Or, "It's small, so we don't see that. He just doesn't have that part. And here's this part. It does this function. He doesn't have that." She said brains are supposed to have ridges, and all of his brain is smooth, which means it's non-functionable tissue. She just said we don't see him having any function with his brain. And the meeting was called to see what we wanted done with him. And they just said, we need to know when he stops breathing. And it wasn't ever like if he does, it was when he stops breathing, what do you guys want us to do? And they had prepped us for the meeting. So Parker and I really, really thought hard. We had prayed and we just told him, we said, the only thing we can tell you is to save him until we get here. And they said, well, I do want to tell you, like, we've had parents make that decision. And once they're here on life support, it's so much harder for a parent to take them off. And then another doctor told us you need to think about what you're doing for Will versus to Will. And she said, because when you start doing CPR on babies this small, it breaks ribs. It just hurts them. And so that's when she had told us that. We just said we don't know what to tell you other than just save him and allow us to make that decision when the time comes. I said I just can't wrap my brain around it because at this point his oxygen was slowly getting better. He was having little improvements like that. And so yeah, that was that meeting. So the official thing he was like diagnosed with at birth is called hydrocephalus. A lot of people that are diagnosed with spina bifida also have hydrocephalus, and all that is your brain produces cerebral spinal fluid. It produces in adults, I think it's like a soda can of cerebral spinal fluid a day. And so when you have hydrocephalus, there's nowhere for that spinal fluid to exit from our ventricles, and it goes down our back. With hydrocephalus, there's no exit. So that fluid just builds up. And with the buildup, it just damages the brain. They did tell us like he needed a surgery to drain it. And what they do is they put a shunt in, which is just a tube that goes into the ventricle, and then it drains the fluid, usually into the belly lining. And so that's where they had put his. The neurosurgeon, again, who's his neurosurgeon still to this day, had come in and he just told us, hey, I can't do surgery yet, but let's see about 36 weeks. So this whole time, his head is just getting bigger. You could see with his eye, because it was missing, you could see his head, because it was getting bigger, just starting to separate his eyelid, like pull it up so you could start seeing in his lack of eye. Like, it's kind of weird. Then they started getting concerned because he was having a lot of DSATs, which is oxygen dropping. So they put him on an EEG, which monitors seizure activity. And they were just expecting a seizure. That's what they had told us. Like, if he did make it, that's what's going to take his life. And so they were like, it's possible he's having seizure activity. Ended up putting him on EEG, no seizure activity. But you could tell by his stats that he was struggling. And the neurosurgeon had come in at 34 weeks and just said, I think I could do the surgery on him. They usually wait because the babies usually have to be, for less risk, have to be a certain size. That's how it was described to us. I could be so wrong on that. He had just told us, like, I think I could do the surgery with where he's at right now. That was like a miracle in and of itself, because we were just trying to keep the baby alive until 36 weeks to have this big surgery. He ended up getting his shot at 34 weeks. He, again, started progressing. Before they let babies leave the NICU, they have to have a way to eat and to breathe. And so you're allowed to go home with oxygen, but they have to be able to eat. Whether that is you learn how to do, I believe it's an NG, which goes through the nose and down to the belly, or a G tube, or they take a bottle. They told us he wasn't going to eat. And so they had him on an ultra preemie nipple. I was pumping. So every 2 hours I'd pump, and he just wasn't eating. And so it was coming time to where they were like, hey, he's off of oxygen. They said he needs a way to eat. He's not improving. They had done a feeding study, and he just wasn't drinking enough. Like, at the beginning, he was literally drinking like 2 mLs. Your standard syringe is probably 5 to 10 mLs, just 2. It was the smallest amount. And it's like a lick for an adult, right? During the swallow study, they were like, hey, we could watch him, see if he's aspirating. And so they gave him a preemie nipple rather than the ultra preemie. And he did twice as much in 5 minutes than what he did in a half hour with the ultra preemie. And he didn't aspirate. And so that kind of we already had the G tube scheduled for the next day. And so that got me really nervous, because I was like, maybe it was just the nipple size. Like,
Yeah.
We need to try it. I remember we called in the feeding specialist, we called in doctors who were like, and Parker, he was all on board for the G tube. But for me, I was like, it doesn't make sense. I don't want him go through his surgery. Can we give him more shots? And they were like, well, he's just not doing it. And there's no reason to not get the G tube because he'll be on so many medications. And then that way you can give him his medications through the G tube. They said, even if he doesn't use it, it's going to be good to have. And so we did. We got the G tube. It was the worst decision. The doctor that did the surgery, I can't say usually, most of the time, I don't know what word to put there, but they stitched the stomach lining. So the G tube, it's just a hole in the belly. Because she didn't do a stitch on the stomach lining, it started leaking the cerebral spinal fluid because that's where his shunt goes to. And so they started freaking out because they were like, if CSF is coming out, that means bacteria could come back in. And they're like, we got to stop feeding him. Completely stopped feeding him for 5 days. No food because they had to make sure that can close back up. He had to get a PICC line. That time he had 4 IVs infiltrate. I don't know all the logistics of it, but the IV essentially goes bad. And instead of being in the vein, I believe it just starts going into your body. That was the only time we were not with him all day because he would just scream and scream and he was in so much pain. He just hungry and I felt terrible. And so we ended up like during that time we went to the temple, then we would come back and hold him and he would just suck on my finger like so vigorously. It was just the saddest time ever. But I think like a week or so later, we were able to take him home. The neurologist had come in and she said, okay, like he's doing good. What do you guys want from this? And we were like, we just want to take our baby home. Like that's all we want. She said, when he has a seizure, just give me a call. They released us late at night, I think 6 or 7, and we ended up driving all the way to Moab. We didn't get home until like 11 at night and set up his crib. He did start having seizures at 4 months on November 1st, which November is Epilepsy Awareness Month. So started that month out with a bang. We did a little bit of genetic testing and they just told us you're going to be insurance doesn't cover it. So they're like, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars. Odds are we're not going to find anything. And I think they did 2 or 3 levels of genetic testing. And on paper, he looks normal. Like you would never know. But they're like, we don't know what happened.
You have
Yeah.
since moved from Moab
Mm-hmm.
to more Utah County. Was that
Mm-hmm.
move for Will?
It was his first year. He has specialty appointments at Primary Children's like every 2 to 4 weeks. And so I ended up dropping out of school. I actually had a full ride scholarship. I wasn't expecting him to make it. I was expecting to go back to work and all of it. So yeah, I ended up dropping out and then I would take him to his appointments at primaries. I had a sister that lived in Springville at the time. So I would usually stay with her, go to his appointments, and then stay another night with her or just drive back to Moab.
How long was
Um,
that drive?
I think 5 hours, but with a baby, when you have to stop and feed him, it ends up being longer. So with the G tube, he was home for just a couple of days, and I was like, I'm just gonna try it. So I ended up giving him a bottle with a regular nipple, and he drank it all. And he did not freaking use the G tube.
Oh,
And so we told the doctors, and they're like, "Okay, well, they were still expecting him to progress, still have a seizure that's gonna either take his life or just stall development or capabilities, all of that." And so when we went back, they still were like, "Well, I recommend you still keep it because of the seizures, all the medications he was going to be on. By the time he hit a year, we just decided he hasn't used it for a year. He was taking his medication by mouth. And so we got rid of it. And it was supposed to close on its own. It didn't. So he needed another surgery to close it. And it was so gross from the hole when he would eat, because he's like eating purees or fluids, right?
God.
And you could see like blueberries leak out of it. I don't know why I was blessed with a kid like Will because I don't do medical. I don't. I don't. I
You
don't.
do now. You have.
I have to, and it's like every time I'm like, "Oh my gosh, please." Like, everyone pray for me so I don't throw up, pass out, and here I am watching Outlander, right? Like, anyways,
Right. Well,
it's
because
different in real life.
it's different, yeah, when it's your own child and like,
Yeah, yeah, and so
oh.
anyways, yeah.
Okay, so you moved to Utah County. Tell us, how old is Will right now?
Okay.
And was there like a certain moment where you were like, screw the doctors, they don't know what they're talking about? When did you see Will is capable of so much more than we think? Like, we don't know what he has in store. Where is he now?
So he's 6, almost 7. He'll be 7 in May. It's hard to say, like, what his functioning is, because I know some parents are like, "Oh, they function at a 3-year-old level, they function at this," because he's just one of a kind. So in some ways, I see a lot of 6-year-old traits in him. In other ways, I see 1-year-old, and then I see 3-year-old, and, but
Yeah.
he's just on his own little path, and he does whatever he wants, and I love it. He knows how to count to 50. He knows all of his alphabet and all the sounds. He knows how to spell his name first and last. He knows how to spell mom and dad. They're teaching him his sight words. He just this like last week has started to walk in his walker. When he was like 2, he learned how to scoot on his bum. So he would use his right hand and just scoot on his bum. On Bluey, they call it bum shuffling. So he's a bum shuffler. So he did that, but now he just wants to walk. And it is incredible to watch. He really can say whatever word he wants. Like, if you asked him to repeat something, he'll try. And he usually does pretty dang good. He eats a lot. He could eat like half to 3/4 of a Costa Beta burrito. He loves Costa Beta. He even asked for it tonight.
Does he do well? Like, can he take instruction pretty
Yeah,
well?
for the most part, like, you could say, "Hey, come get your bum changed," because so he's still in a diaper, but he'll understand that. You could ask him what he wants to eat. It's always pizza, chicken nuggets and fries, Costa Beta, a Costa Beta burrito for burrito. He'll tell you what he wants to drink. You're not gonna have like this intimate conversation with him where he's like, "Oh, this is my favorite color and this is what I do." And he's not gonna sit there and show you what he's interested in, even though recently he has started bringing me books and asking me to read with him. So that's big improvement. But you're not going to have a back and forth conversation with him. It's usually you asking him something.
We've talked about this briefly before because you have two other children
Yeah,
as
2
well,
boys.
two other
Yes.
boys. So Will is the oldest.
Mhm.
And I found it so funny when you talked about Will's interaction with his younger brothers. Tell us just a little bit sibling dynamics wise.
Yeah, he's a bully. We just don't know a lot about Will, okay? Like, doctors don't know a lot about him. So we don't know what it is, but he likes to pull hair, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that's normal brother stuff," like, try to make us feel maybe less worrisome about it. But we know Will. He's being mischievous, right? But he likes to pull hair, and he thinks it's funny when they cry. Like, he'll straight up laugh. He thinks it's funny. And so we don't know if it's that he thinks it's a funny sound, or we don't know, because he's not like, I mean, he's intentionally pulling their hair, but it's not
Right.
intentionally rude. He just doesn't understand. Oh, another thing about him is he actually has phenomenal aim. He can shoot. There's a basketball hoop in his room. He can shoot any toy and make it a good amount of time. He has good aim. He'll chuck toys at their heads and he gets them every time. He even threw a car at Banks and gave him a little gash. Like, it actually started bleeding. And he throws hard too. And so that's a problem we actually need to find a way to address. But it's kind of cute, right? Like, he wasn't supposed to do any of this. So eh, we're
Ha-
working on it.
For sure. What kind of reaction do you get from these doctors now? I mean, he's 6 years old and they never thought
Yeah.
that this was gonna happen.
Yeah. It's evolved. So at the beginning, they were very, very hesitant, distant. So when we were in the NICU, there just wasn't a lot of hope. And even therapists would come and they were like, hey, well, he's not going to really have preferences. Who would have thought a kid can't have preferences? So like when he preferred this food over this food, they're like, oh, he actually cares? Like, yeah. And so at first they were very, very skeptical, and it was always, okay, we'll start working on this, even though it's probably not very relevant to him. And so as soon as they would say something like that, Will just randomly would do it. And it was always so funny because they'd be like, oh, you're doing such a good job with him. I'm like, I don't do anything because I'm not anti-therapy, but I just don't care what Will does. Like, I'm not here to make him normal. I
Mhm.
want him to be himself and do what he enjoys. If he only wants to scoot on his bum for the rest of his life, do it. Like, I don't care. Doesn't affect me, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's doing what he wants and what his little body's capable of, and I'm not going to push him more than he wants. Everything a doctor has told him he wasn't going to do, he's done. So he actually has cerebral palsy on his left side. Obviously, it's harder for him to use his hand. They wanted to cast his right side, which means they literally put his right side in a cast to force him to use his left. And I just said, no, I don't want that invasive. Like, I don't want to do it. And then he taught himself how to use his left hand. And he uses it very regularly now. The crawling, he taught himself how to crawl this last summer. And it is the funkiest little crawl, but I love it. They were trying to teach him how to get on a couch the proper way, but he gets up on that couch and every therapist would be cringing how he gets on it, but he does it. And I don't care. I'm not here to be like, Will, you can get on a couch, but you need to be doing it this way and this way and this way. I'm like, no, let him do it. It doesn't matter. Anyways, kind of went on a
Yeah.
tangent. So doctors, yeah, they were very skeptical. His neurologist is kind of his head honcho doctor in a way because everything he has other than the eye is neurological. I think he was like maybe 18 months or 2 years. I remember she was like slightly tearing up and she's like, you know what? I'm done predicting what he's going to do. We're just going to say the sky's the limit. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I think when she said that, it was like, okay, she's right. Like, even doctors cannot explain what's going on. I do not blame them. I love his doctors. We've worked really hard to find a team that really works for Will and works with us. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, yeah, doctors, they don't know. They don't know everything. Where I'm like, yeah, but they actually know a lot. And they have worked so hard and they've studied and they're amazing for what they do. And everything they were telling us wasn't just like to make us feel bad. They were telling us based on other cases that they've seen. And if you look at Will's brain, you would be amazed. It's incredible to see what he's done. He literally is nothing short of a miracle. There's nothing really to explain other than his brain has learned to adapt. He's remained strong and he's here for something, right? He's here for a reason and he's just on his own little path. And so I think all of us, doctors, Parker and I, we're just letting Will be the guide.
I have one last big question for you because obviously like this is Will's story, right? Like you're telling this about Will and but it's so much of your story as well. I
Hmm.
mean, being Will's mom, Will's caretaker, your lives are so intertwined. So I just want to know like you, Srilana, 21 years old, had this baby, went on this journey to now 6 years later, what things about yourself have you learned, not only as like a mom, but just as a person? What has having Will done for you as a woman?
It's a good question, actually. um, Definitely a huge perspective change on priorities. When you're 22, however old I was, people, when they're that age, they're going to college, they get married, they're saving and saving, maybe going and traveling, maybe working on buying their first house and making all these sacrifices, right? To have the American dream, right?
Yeah.
I, looking back, was put in a situation where I was forced to have a perspective change. Definitely go to counseling. I'll tell you that. So I go to counseling,
Yeah.
and my counselor She is my conscience. I love her so much. She's amazing. So, anyways, I had an appointment yesterday and we kind of touched base on this. I no longer, I don't care about finances. And I used to want to go into finances. I'm very logistical and I like to have multiple plans. I like to have a plan, like a goal, and multiple backup plans.
Yeah.
And this has completely shifted that for me. I can't have a plan. I was telling my counselor this yesterday, like, it's impossible to have a plan because we start saving up for something and it's like, oh, we actually can't have that kind of house because it has stairs. And Will now has a wheelchair. You try to find a home in Utah that doesn't have stairs. They all do. We can't like have that car because it's not going to be big enough to fit a wheelchair. Now we have to save up for this, but we may have to build a house because we want a home, like especially if Will's going to be with us for a long time, which hopefully he is, we want it to be his home as well. And we want everything to be Will accessible. And so it just has completely shifted like that in me. It's helped me grow in that way to not worry about the small things and not to take any day for granted. If you want to go to Disneyland, go to freaking Disneyland because in our situation, we still don't know how long we're going to have Will. Doctors still don't know. It's kind of just been one of those things that's not really addressed. It was highly, highly addressed at the beginning. And now everyone's just kind of following Will's lead on it. So for us, it's like, yeah, we want to save up for a house. We live in a cute little condo that we actually really, really like. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's not worth it. It's not worth it anymore for us to be making all these financial sacrifices and not get that time with our family. It really is. I know it's like so cliche, but it's like all those little moments that are the highlight of my day. To date, one of my favorite moments. I don't know if you saw it, but I had posted it where Banks, he had asked if he could feed Will and I let him. And it was just like the most precious moment of you could just see like how much love they have for each other. And it's just little things like that where I'm like, yeah, between Banks and Chapel, that would be so sweet. But the unconditional love that my kids get to experience every day because of Will and that love he brings into the home and that perspective he gives us of like, it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you currently are able to do. Like you are a person and you bring value and he just, I don't know, I'm rambling because there's just so much and I didn't have like anything scripted or organized to say. But yeah, he just brings a beautiful perspective of live for the now. And then the other side of your question, what has it taught me about myself? I tend to be very hard on myself and I have been very like insecure with who I am. I'm not your typical like nurturing girl that wants to cook you dinner. I don't like cooking. I enjoy being adventurous. I have tended to get along better with like boys than girls. Like I'm just not very emotional as I just cried this whole episode. But like,
Right.
I don't know. Anyways, so I was always so hard on myself. Like, why am I so direct? Why am I labeled as a biatch a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
why am all these things? And being Will's mom, that stuff comes in handy. I tell you what, I am not scared to talk to doctors. I'm not scared of doctors telling me no or that I'm wrong. I could pretty confidently tell a doctor to shove it if I needed to, right? And not in a mean way, but like it has just, I've been actually really proud of myself for how I've been able to communicate with all these really prestigious doctors and how I've been able to manage Will, even really listening to what he needs. Because I do know, like, a lot of parents, they work really hard to help their child learn how to eat properly and walk and all of that. And I think that's, again, something I'm really proud of myself for is not caring what he does. I'm not here to make Will normal. He'll never be quote unquote normal, but I
Yeah.
think that's what makes him so special and beautiful. And I love that. I don't easily back down. And so if therapists want to tell me you need to work with him more and more, I'm pretty confident to say I don't want to because he doesn't want to. I'm not
Yeah.
going to force him to do something he's not ready to do just for the sake of him being normal. Yeah, all these things I've been insecure about now are my superpower when it comes to being Will's mom. It's been really cool to have that shift. And I don't think I ever would have had it if I didn't have Will.
That
Like I
that made me
you know?
emotional just now. That's beautiful. I just love these insecurities that you've had, how you phrase that, that now those are your superpowers. Those are your strengths. Like you're such a strong, incredible person and you're your own person, even, you know, aside from being Will's mom. Like you're just an amazing
Yeah.
person. And
Thank you.
I just so I love this. This is why I wanted to do this podcast because there's just so many incredible women out here that have unbelievable stories. I mean, I was just fed so much by hearing your story. I was on the edge of my seat. I was tearing up. Like, what a journey we just went on. And
Yeah.
that's amazing to hear all of this
Yeah.
that you've been through and are continuing just your life. That just your
Yeah.
life is
It
beautiful.
is. I will say, like, that was only what, the first 6 months of his life? Or not
Right.
even 6 months, it was like the first 4 months of his life, and then 2 months prior, whatever. But, like, I do wanna say one last thing.
Please.
You had mentioned something about, like, yes, it's Will's story, but it's also mine. I feel like there's this, I don't know how to phrase it, because maybe not even a debate, but this judgment on social media that,
Mm,
like, parents of someone with special needs isn't allowed to share too much because then you're using your child, where I don't agree with that because I do think there's an extent of that, and I think there's this fine line, right? Of like,
sure.
but for the most part, these stories are our stories just as much as the child. Well, I'm not sitting here and telling you this is how Will felt. This is how Will experienced it. And I'm not sitting here telling you, oh, this is how Parker experienced it. Me, Parker, Will, and now Banks and Chapel are all experiencing the same thing differently.
Mm,
And what I'm sitting here and telling you is how this has affected me. That is kind of a pet peeve-ish thing of mine of like
yeah. A hill you'll die
when
on.
people possibly possibly, but where it's just like again, I do see some parents where it's like borderline, okay, you're using this. And
Yeah.
other times it's very, very healing, even for me to sit here with you and express this. I think that's why I was so emotional because I've never done this. And I didn't even tell you all the little nitty gritties, right? Like,
Yeah.
but there's something so healing about it to finally admit it and vocalize it. And I have, even like on Instagram or Facebook, there was a lot of people at the beginning that wanted to follow Will's journey. And I ended up deleting a lot of the followers we gained while in the NICU because I was like, no, I don't want to like be using Will. And it just got a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I had heard somewhere, read somewhere that things you take pictures of are your perspective of the world. But they said it a lot gracefully, but it hit me in a way of like, yeah, I'm allowed to share my freaking kids on social media. That's what I see all day and day. I don't see myself. I'm not going to sit here and take pictures. I hate taking pictures of myself, but that's my perspective is my kids. And that's what I get to share. And I'm not going to go in their emotions and I'm not going to expose them and share their most vulnerable things. But I am also allowed to share my perspective of the world, and that goes for any other parent. And just because your child has special needs doesn't mean that you can't freaking take a picture of them and share the story you experienced with them. Anyways, I
I
don't know
love
why I
that.
wanted to say that, but I wanted to say that
No,
for
I
you.
love it. Well, and personally, I mean, I have my nephew, right? Like
Yeah.
little Brig, who as his family member, like I love seeing his progression. I love seeing him on social media. I personally love that. That's a branch of social media that I enjoy. I love seeing people's stories. I love seeing the
Hmm.
journey. And yes, I love seeing these moms that are just killing it being a mom. And their kid
Hmm.
also happens to have special needs. And I just like, I love to
Yeah.
hear their perspective on it. I think it's amazing.
I absolutely love how you word that because at the end of the day, I'm a mom. And I honestly feel like I can relate to really anyone. I can relate to a mom without a child with special needs really as much as I can someone who has a child with special needs. I just don't think like because you're a special needs mom, that's all you are. First and foremost, like you said, you're a mom that happens to have a child with special needs. Like you worded that so perfectly. I love
Oh,
that.
especially women. Like, yeah, you're a mom, but you're also a woman that I met in book club. Like, you're my
Yeah.
friend. You're so
Yeah.
many things. I think we are just
Yeah.
as people, we're so much, and all of
Yeah.
this adds to our story. But I love just hearing bits and pieces of people's stories, and I think it's
Well,
amazing.
well, thank you. Yeah. Look at that. I'm Srilauna, who
Yeah.
happens to be a mom who
Hmm.
happens to have a child with special needs. Nothing
Yes.
special here.
Who also happens to be an amazing book reader and a fan of
Maybe.
Outlander.
Yep. That's the most important part right there. Outlander fan. Write it on my headstone.
It's amazing. Okay, to end, do you have any hills that you'll die on? I think that was a great segue, to be honest. I feel like that was
Oh, look at that.
absolutely a hill that you'll die on, and I'll put that in that segment.
Okay.
But do you have any others that
Yeah.
you wanted to mention?
You know what? I actually came up with two. Okay.
Perfect.
First one, it's that saying like if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. Think of how good the world would be if everyone abided by that. Abided. Oh my gosh. That's so religious of me.
Came out of you, like the recesses.
Woo!
You could take the girl out of church, but not the church out of the girl.
Yep, that's me. So, anyways, we wouldn't have sitting around in the waiting room forever for a doctor's appointment if everyone was 5 minutes early. Everyone would be on time. No one would get behind. When something says it's starting at 7, it's starting at 7. It shouldn't have to start at 7:10 because we're waiting for people to join. And my parents did a very good job at teaching me that. You best believe we were at church at least 10 minutes early, sitting there listening to those opening hymns. It was miserable. I hated it. But now being an adult, best thing that they've ever taught me.
Oh, you were 10 minutes early? I was 30 minutes early. Second row to the front. 30 minutes.
That's too much. See, but
Yeah,
you get it, right?
oh, I get it so fully. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, see? I'll die on
Okay,
it.
what was your, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
What's your second one?
Second one is, I think, and this ties into Will, every public space, I don't care what kind of public space you are, every public space needs to be accessible, meaning automatic doors. If you have a button, you best make sure that button works. Me and my friend, we were in Florida, we went shopping. I think it was Old Navy. There was this sweet elderly guy, I believe he was in a wheelchair, just sitting by the door because the button did not work. And so, like, we opened the door for him. I'm like, come on, you guys have buttons and you're not even checking them. And it's not even a matter of just people with like special needs like Will. It's also elderly people. It could be anybody. It could be you get in an accident and are temporarily in a wheelchair. Anyways, every public place needs to be, first off, hallways, table, chairs, whatever. You need to be able to have a wheelchair, walker, all the above, be able to fit. Adult changing tables. I even think as far as all these condos popping up, you need ramps or elevators to the top floor because if like we wanted to come visit you when you were living there, do you think I'm going to be carrying Will up those stairs? I would find a way, but that's not fair. Like, I don't want to do that, right? I full-heartedly think the world needs a revamp to include everyone. I do not know another group of people that are excluded as much as people with special needs. Yeah, you may not see a lot of people with special needs around a lot because there's nothing for them to do. You're not going to see them at the pool because how are they supposed to swim or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of accessible pools for them. And maybe, like our HOA, we have a chair. It doesn't work. We've never gone to a pool where the chair actually works, right? And so all these things, like we're slowly starting to see with Will, but we love going out to eat. We love going on little adventures. And it's really, really hard when it's like, this place only has stairs, no elevator, no ramps. Won't count us out. Changing Will on the bathroom floor in a gas station because there's nowhere else to change him. We have an SUV, we have a good sized car, but to fit a wheelchair and all of our luggage and be able to change his butt in the trunk, you can't. And so that one, come at me. I don't care. I'll debate you. Take it to the Capitol. I don't care. That needs to change. There you have it.
Yes. Oh, I will absolutely die on that with you. Like I said, I follow like a lot of people that are part of like the disabled community. And one of my
Mm-hmm.
favorite people that I follow, she's blind.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, I like love her feed. She just really makes you think differently about like what blind people are capable of and like what they can be into. Like she's into fashion
Yeah.
and makeup, and you'd be like, wait, but you can't see. Like I just love her. Her name's Molly.
How cool.
Molly Burke Official is her
Mm.
Instagram. She has 800,000 followers. She's amazing. But
Wow.
something that she says is she's a huge disability advocate,
Okay.
and she has a guide dog. And so she will like really highlight inaccessibility and different stuff. And she's a really big advocate for like all people with disabilities. But the disabled community is a community that you can enter at any point in your life. It is
Yeah.
the one community that no one is safe from.
Mm-hmm.
You can become disabled at any moment. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I became a member of the disabled community at 20 years old when I had my spinal surgery, I had my nerve
Mm.
damage in my legs. Mine's classified as an invisible disability,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have like as many mobility things. But the way that I like made my brain switch for accessibility was
Mm-hmm.
insane
Yeah.
because now I can't just like sit in a row of seats in like a
Mm-hmm.
concert. Like I have to be in the wheelchair accessible because I need to be able to stand up. So I'm totally with you. I love this hill, truly, because
Yeah.
yeah, we need to start being more inclusive. And here's my companion hill, okay? Airplanes. Airplanes
Mm.
need to allow wheelchair users to come, they need to figure this out because the amount of people that I follow that are wheelchair users that like it is horrible their flying experience because they have to like go from their wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
to being transported on like a board. It's so
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. And then the amount of times that their wheelchair gets broken in
Yeah.
transport, like do you that is their whole life. Like that is how they get
Well, and
around.
they
That
are
is
expensive, and insurance only covers one wheelchair per 5 years. And so they're expensive. And so, yeah, I agree with that. We haven't had the experience of flying with Will since he's been in a wheelchair, but that's something I worry about so much. But the thing is, buses, he loads on the bus at the side. Why can't they do that on an airplane? I understand. I'm not expecting businesses to try to cater to every single need. There's, of
Mhm.
course, going to be things that will, like, he has one eye. Am I expecting the world to come up with a solution to where he could see a 3D movie with one eye? No. So I'm not expecting all these little things, but I do hope and borderline have an expectation that basic needs, shelter, walking through a freaking door, going to the bathroom, they have the same ability to do that as everyone else. And it's not hard to put a table in a bathroom. It's not hard.
Love
Do you
that.
want
There's
one
so
more?
many. Sure. Yeah, hit us with the last one. Close us
Oh,
out.
well, for Will's sake, I do have to say Costa Vida is better than Cafe Rio,
Mhm.
and Taco Bell is the best. This one's for me. Taco Bell is the best. Out of all the fast food restaurants, it's also Mexican food. I will not let anybody tell me different. Taco Bell is Mexican food.
I could not agree more with the Costa Vida
Good.
thing. Costa Vida all
Yeah.
day, and I'm
Every
already,
day.
you're already making me feel so sad that they don't have it here.
Oh,
You know, this has been so incredible. Thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your
yes.
story.
Thank you for allowing me to. It's been actually so nice to do it. And
Good.
well, confidence booster, you know?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna have you sign off for us.
Thanks for listening to our thoughts on life, because this has been Life According to Nikki.
Oh, you nailed it. Oh my gosh, perfect. I love that you're like escape to your car. I literally love that. Mom
Okay, good.
life.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, mommy's leaving. Don't bother
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
You've got to be out of sight and sound, or else they will know. They'll sense that you're home.
Oh gosh, yeah, they would. They'll know, and then they'll want to come hang out and talk, and they'll be crazy. So
Yeah, no, this is your time. This is your interview.
yes, yes.